And now, the Rink Rap Podcast from Forever Blueshirts, talking all things New York Rangers hockey. Here's your host, Jim Cerny.
What's up, Blueshirts faithful? Jim Cerny hanging out with you. We just got a few minutes today. We're not going to do a full podcast, not the entire Rink Rap show and spectacle because. Just going to get a few things off our chest, a couple topics after the Rangers lose again at home, 6-5 in overtime to the San Jose Sharks. Blame me. Blame Cerny. Blame Forever Blueshirts. We can take it. I got the big shoulders. I can handle it. It's me. I know it. On the podcast earlier this week, Johnny Lazarus was our guest. I went off. I said, I guarantee you this is the game the Rangers finally win at home. You're being fed the San Jose Sharks. You're being fed one of the worst teams in the NHL yet again after finishing 32nd out of 32 teams the past 2 years running. Yeah, they've got some good young skill, but come on. Your lineup at home, you are the better team. You're desperate. You got to win. That opponent's being just fed to you. Go get it. Rangers are going to do it. They didn't. They didn't start on time. They didn't close out periods. They were sloppy, disinterested defensively, inconsistent with their effort throughout the entire game. Oh, yeah. You know what that reminds you of? That's a little deja vu from last season, right? Little talking about that sour taste. I was getting that bile taste in your mouth watching the game. Yeah, they did some good things for sure. Once they woke up after the first intermission, came out in the second period, had a little jump to them. Certainly had jump in the third period as well. There was jump there. But listen, the game is 60 minutes, or in last night's case, almost 62 minutes. You got to play the entire game, right? Consistent with your effort, consistent with your discipline. Rangers were none of those things. And yeah, I've mentioned this a lot before on the Rink Rap podcast and in my articles for Forever Blueshirts about PTSD from last season. I get it. You have a right to have PTSD. If you're a Ranger fan, or even if you're in management or somehow with the organization, you've got PTSD and it's well earned after the crap you were fed last year by this team on the ice, right? Now, listen, I'm not saying things are as bad this year. There's no doubt the Rangers have been top to bottom a much more disciplined team. They bought into Mike Sullivan's system. I think they've been so much better defensively. And in irony of all ironies, 24 hours or 36 hours, whatever the number of hours was, a day after Sully talked about all the good things the Rangers have done collectively defensively in front of their goaltenders this season, along with getting some really good goaltending. After praising the Rangers and checking off all the good things that they've been doing, no second chance or very few second chance opportunities, limiting this, positionally sound, the effort's been really good, getting the puck out of the zone. The Rangers failed mightily in all those areas on Thursday night at the Garden against San Jose. And as a result, they are 0-4-1 on a home ice this season. They will go the first month of this entire season without a win at Madison Square Garden because now they're off on the 4-game road trip. They don't come back to the Garden until the first week of November. There you go. And again, circle it back. I know, you're going to want to tee off on the team, the players, the coaches. PTSD is wearing you down. I'll take some of the blame here. I can take all of it if you want, right? I can handle it. I wasn't out there, but I did say, I put the whammy on them, right? I did say that there's no doubt in my mind they're going to beat San Jose. They weren't great against Minnesota, had a terrible start against Minnesota on Monday, but they got it together in the second and third, certainly third period, right? They lost the game, and there are reasons why they lost, and certainly that terrible start was at the heart of it. But okay, I thought they were good. I thought they were pissed. They seemed pissed after that game because that seemed like a winnable game. But at least, Minnesota, they're going to be sniffing around a playoff spot. San Jose, it's all about getting experience for these young kids now and trying to build a base, become professionals, good pros, because this is all about down the line. And yet, man, did they expose the Rangers. This is what happens when you underestimate an opponent. You think you're better than they are. That's basically what JT Miller said after the game. He said, without using these exact words, we underestimated them. We didn't take them as seriously as we should have, and it cost us. And boy, was Mike Sullivan pissed afterwards about that. I think that upset him more than anything. And maybe Sully had a clue, right? Maybe he had a clue, because starting on Wednesday in his session with the media, he was talking up the San Jose Sharks. Hungry young team, a lot of skill. They can be dangerous offensively, right? You're talking about a team that was winless on the season. And like I said, last place the last 2 seasons overall in the NHL. He's playing it up. Did he sense something? Did he see something in his team? Like, he didn't like their practice on Wednesday. It was widely reported. He was airing them out, a lot of F-bombs. Some of it had to do with their special teams, but I think it was more about effort and then the execution or lack thereof. How they practiced after a down game and heading into a game where they sought redemption and I'm sure Sully's thinking, man, let's get a win here and let's hammer this team that's not as good as we are, right? They shouldn't be in our league, but let's take them seriously, because I'm not sure our guys are taking this seriously. And again, Thursday morning, right after the morning skate, raising San Jose, laying it out there. Boy, we better be ready. Good young team, a lot of offensive talent, Macklin, Celebrini. And what happens? Those kids ran all over the Rangers, especially in the first period, but really, certainly did enough throughout the entire game. Celebrini, 5 points, Will Smith, 4 points, William Macklin, 3 points, right? They were hungrier. They were faster to the puck. Man, they looked fast. Rangers had their moments, though. But the overriding issue, how can this team, looking for their first win at Madison Square Garden, a team that was humiliated last season, that was a humiliating, disappointing season last year. So for the guys that come back, how's that not always in the back of your mind? Man, do I have something to prove? Do we have something to prove? We have a lot to prove. Man, that was terrible last year. I never want to go through that again. And then you start to see the cracks. They were real good the first 6-7 games, right? It obviously needed to score goals, especially on home ice. But for the most part, playing certainly better than what we saw for large swaths of last season. You started to see cracks against Minnesota. That first 20 minutes was horrendous. They were outwilled by Minnesota for large portions of that game. Boy, is that reminiscent of last year. Same thing Thursday night against the San Jose Sharks. That was a hungry team, hungry for the puck, win puck battles. And they did consistently. And they made the Rangers pay. Made them pay badly. So now the Rangers head on out. Listen, 4-game road trip. They're 3-0-1 on the road this season, right? The Road Warriors, they've been good for years on the road. I don't know what the secret sauce is. Maybe it's just easier getting away from the Garden, play some of your best hockey away, dummy it down, grind out your wins. Maybe this road trip will be good for them. They take Brennan Othman with them on this road trip. So Brennan Othman was recalled. Matt Rempe, upper body injury, and what a fight that was. That heavyweight tilt against Ryan Reeves. But I got to tell you, I wince every time I watch the big guy fight. And I mean Rempe. Every time he fights, he takes more than he receives more than he gives. And Ryan Reeves crushed him. I was counting at one point. I think 6, 7 punches right to the face, to the jaw, to the cheekbone, to the head. One after another after another. So we don't know what the injury is yet with Matt Rempe. We saw him shaking his hand. But is that really an upper body injury? It's like the old John Tortorella thing where he said, well, it could be upper body or lower body. And then he like raised his arm up and down. Well, if I raise the arm up, it's an upper body injury because it's above the waist. But if my arm's dangling, well, I guess that's a lower body injury. So I don't know that it's a hand injury, but we did see Rempe shaking his hand. I'm concerned. I think we all are that it could be a head injury or a concussion. Hoping that's not the case. And how ironic. Yeah, I mentioned irony of all ironies before. How ironic that this kid who built his reputation, I'll fight anybody, I'll fight every heavyweight in the game as a rookie 2 years ago, has now established himself as a legitimate, NHL bottom six forward. Guy that's gotten second power play unit time and has become a force with Sam Carrick and Adam Edstrom, getting more and more ice time, more and more trust from the coaching staff, and staying away from the fight. Still playing physically, but staying away from the fights. How ironic that his first fight of the season, probably trying to wake up the crowd at the Garden, more so wake up his teammates sleepwalking at the start of that game against the San Jose Sharks. First fight, and he gets hurt. No words. But I do wince when he fights. I know he's a big guy, and I know he can hurt people in fights, but man, does he take way too many punches. And listen, Ryan Reeves is, he's one of the best in the sport at what he does. I get it. But it's not just Ryan Reeves that's given Rempe trouble in these fights over the years. But in any case, hoping, we do not know yet. Right now, the Rangers are, somewhere up in their charter plane. They're heading to Calgary to open up that 4-game road trip. Don't know how far along as we record this, wherever they are. Don't know if Matt Rempe is on the plane or not. Don't know what his status is. We probably will not find out until Saturday when the team practices in Calgary. But we do know that Brennan Othmann is with them. So that means he's either here, as precaution. Hey, we're going to be way out west. What if Rempe can't play? We want to make sure we have an extra forward. This gives them 2 extra forwards now on the roster with Johnny Brodzinski being the healthy scratch more often than not. And, now Brennan Othmann joining them. But what a great opportunity for Othmann. I'm assuming that Rempe's going to miss some time here, right? And if he is, Othmann getting that first forward recall from the minor leagues ahead of Brett Berard, ahead of Gabe Perreault. It's a great opportunity for him. He was the first one of that threesome to be sent back to the minors, to be cut during training camp. No doubt that he was a disappointment in training camp. No doubt he needs to impress the coaching staff, the new coaching staff. He gets another opportunity here. And I hope they put him in a real opportunity to succeed, right? And that could be just replacing Rempe on the Carrick Edstrom line if they keep that unit together. We'll see how the juggling goes, especially after Taylor Radish may have shown that he's worthy of a look in the top 6 if Connor Sheary comes back, or no matter whatever lineup machinations they go through before the Calgary game. If Othmann's in the lineup, if Rempe's not playing, put him in a spot to succeed. He spent so much time on the 4th line last year, but the 4th line last year is a little bit different than this year. In fact, and we've used this line a couple of times on the show where Mike Sullivan has been asked about the 4th line. And he says, which line is that? Right. Which line is that? Because Sam Carrick's line is getting more minutes than Noah Laba's line, and Noah Laba's line is supposed to be the 3rd line. Even though that line had scored more, Juuso Parsonen's got a couple second, 3rd line goals already this season. He already has 2 3rd line goals this season. But again, getting off track, that Carrick line is seeing, 12, 13 minutes, 5-on-5 minutes a night. When it's going well, they're the option over Noah Laba's line. If the game is close or the Rangers are chasing the score, the Carrick line goes out there. They go out there late, protect the lead. So if Othmann is used with them, that's a good opportunity. And it's a chance for him to use his physicality, be engaged, just play north-south. I like it. But I'd also like to see him get the opportunity maybe in a top 6 spot. Maybe drop Connor Sherry back into the bottom 6 if Rempe's out and give Othman a look in the top 6. Let him play with some skill guys. 50-goal scorer one season in the OHL. 21 goals as a rookie pro 2 years ago with Hartford. The guy can score. Show some confidence in him because, as we talked about with Johnny Lazarus earlier in the week, confidence is an issue for this kid. So maybe it gives him a little confidence to be the first forward recall from Hartford this season. Maybe you go the next step. Maybe you start him out in the top 6. I would. I tell you one thing I wouldn't do, and this is no respect to disrespect to Johnny Brodzinski. I do not sit Brennan Othman. If Rempe's out, Brennan Othman is my first choice to go into the lineup. And again, I get it. Brodzinski, very respected veteran guy, has played well for the Rangers, over the course of the past 2-3 years. He's established himself as a trusted guy, can play up and down the lineup, right? Too much exposure in the top 6, just like Connor Sherry right now. Too much exposure in the top 6, and yeah, it kind of goes sour. But he's a guy that can, give you some minutes in the top 6, and certainly is, middle 6 and bottom 6. He's a guy that, that you can trust. So I get it. And he's been the good soldier, right? Noah Laba passed him by. Juuso Parssinen passed him by. Connor Sherry has passed him by, all for, playing time. I think Johnny's played, 3 games, and very, very limited minutes. So I get it. This is the opportunity. Hey, he's here. He's one of us. He's been with us since the start of the season. He's been a part of this team now for a few years. But you know what? So be it. I think Brennan Othman gets that opportunity. You can say, well, he's got to earn it. And you know what? Yes, he does. And he wasn't tearing it up down in Hartford, 1 assist in 4 games to start the AHL season. I get it. But Brennan Othman should play. If he's up, play him. Put him in. And if it's in the top 6, even better. If it's on the Carrick line, I don't have a problem with that. Because they skate, they play hard. They're playing with a lot of confidence, Carrick and Edstrom. Okay, if Brennan Othman is there. And maybe Brennan Othman gets some time on the second power play unit. I'd go that route too. Show some confidence in him. Help build his confidence. And let's hopefully start to see what he can bring at the NHL level. Listen, maybe it wouldn't work out, right? All right. Then Edmonton or Vancouver or somewhere along the way on this trip, Seattle, whatever. If Rempe's still out, maybe Johnny Brodzinski, you say, well, listen, we gave the kid a shot. This is, he hasn't progressed from training camp and for all the things that we told him to work on. He's not quite ready. He's not quite there yet. And Johnny Brodzinski is kind of your security blanket. That's what I would do. I'm not coaching the team. I know we already discussed how much blame I can take for the loss against San Jose. All right, I get it. By the way, here's the jinx again. Soft landing spot for the Rangers again. Not only going on the road where they have at least a point in every game this season, 3-0-1, but Calgary. Calgary's probably a worse team and certainly not as dangerous a team offensively as the San Jose Sharks. Now, they probably have a much better goaltender with Dustin Wolf. They have some more established stars like Jonathan Huberdeau or whatever. But by and large, they're really, they don't scare you, right? They want to dummy it down, play a 2-1, 3-2 game and hope they get enough goals, right, to contend, which they haven't done this season. And I think they're the lowest scoring team in the NHL right now. So it could be a soft landing spot for the Rangers. But then again, beginning of the week, I thought Minnesota was a soft landing spot. And then after they lost that, I'd say, well, you know what, for the Rangers, here's the next. This is definitely a soft landing spot. Play the Sharks at home. Okay, 0-2. Am I going to be caught looking here or swinging it's the strike 3? I don't think so. I think, I don't know how the rest of the road trip's going to go, but Calgary's not a good team right now. Rangers, you can argue where they're at, and they certainly aren't coming off a great effort or a great game. But I would say that's a soft landing spot. I'll keep it at that. I think that they start this trip with the win. From where it goes from there, let's see. I hope Brennan Othman is in that top 6. I'm curious if Taylor Radish gets a look in the top 6, which is, of course, where he finished on Thursday night with his second career hat trick. Love the speed. Like you talk about playing with confidence. He was flying out there. He got the one, and then he just, he's scoring off the rush, looks off Zibanejad to score the shorthanded goal. Couple snipes. His second and third goals were absolute snipes off the rush. From left wing, one from right wing. Love it. Right. So again, we talk about confidence. His confidence it's got to be rocketing upward. So maybe he gets that top 6 look. We'll find out. Decisions for Mike Sullivan to make. Again, put Brennan Othman, though, in a place to succeed. And for all you Ranger fans, by the way, there were people absolutely trashing Taylor Radish. And listen, I was not totally on board with that signing during the summer. But the trashing, like he has become the whipping boy through the first 8 games of this season. Why is he in there? $1.5 million, blah, blah, blah. And, I was like, he's not hurting them. I don't think he's really helping them. Okay. He's like a net 0, right? It's just on the even line. But boy, you saw what he could do yesterday. He opened my eyes. And I know he scored 20 goals one season, but I don't view him as a 20-goal scorer. But you see that shot and the confidence that he can play with and score off the rush. Along with playing the two-way game, then you start to think, why? Well, maybe they got something here. So I don't know if that's going to quiet the Ranger fans for a little bit. They'll hop on the Taylor Radish bandwagon now, but we'll see what we get moving forward. Rangers and Flames Sunday night, and that's the start of the 4-game road trip. And hey, this was just brief check-in. Hang in there. Next week, we'll have a full edition of the Rink Rap podcast at Forever Blueshirts. We'll have another guest on as well. But enjoy the rest of your weekend. Hang in there. Take a deep breath. I know it sucked Thursday night, but hang in there, and we'll catch you next week on Rink Rap. Cheers.